Okay, let's talk Palantir, and then we'll get to TikTok. So Palantir got initiated with coverage today for $72. Initiated for coverage today for $72. Hood's margins are huge on crypto trades. That is correct. Matthias is doing the hood dance right now. I love it. Today, we all probably have to continue wearing our hoodies. So $72 on Palantir. Now, why did Palantir get this $72 coverage? I didn't get the exact report. All I have is that they got upgraded to 72, but we do have another piece of news on Palantir that we'll talk about in a second. Cantor Fitzgerald decides to upgrade or initiate coverage. They didn't issue a buy, but they did say we are neutral with a $72 price target. That's why Palantir is up 2% right now, which is bullish. Again, really no analysis here outside of Palantir has a average rating of $47.88. So every single analyst that gets onto the street and says, hey, we think it's in the 60s or 70s, to me is bullish. At this point, we have Cantor Fitzgerald, we have UBS, we have Morgan Stanley, we have Bank of America, and we have Wedbush. And I'm probably leaving out another two that I can't remember, but those five are starting to round out the level of bullish analysts that exists. And then you got the Jeffries and some of the other guys that are back in the 20s and 30s. If we can just get more and more of these analysts into the 60s and 70s, then I think that's relatively bullish given Palantir's trading at extended multiples. Also, William Blair, I believe, came out a couple of days ago and said, hey, we understand that Palantir has this $120 million SARS expense, and they actually lowered their EPS estimates on Palantir from 5 cents to 1 cent. Now, that is not the consensus EPS rating on Palantir, but that is for one firm, which gives me a lot of hope that this idea of Palantir tanking on earnings because they missed on EPS because of the $120 million SARS expense is not going to happen, because you at least had one firm say, yeah, we know this is a thing. We are pricing it in, and we are reducing our expectations accordingly because we don't want, to assume 5 cents when we know that 4 of those 5 cents are going to be gone because of this stock-based compensation hit that Palantir legally has to deal with. So from that perspective, I think that's kind of bullish. Palantir right here, $70.88. We did hit 71.43 last night. And I think that is important if other analysts can continue to think the same way of Palantir with this EPS conundrum they're in with SARS. And as long as it's priced in, then I think we don't have to tank it just based on EPS. Now, the other big news on Palantir this morning, Intel is up 7% because there's a rumor that someone's going to buy them out. That is literally why it's up 7%. So hopefully, if that comes true for the Intel shareholders, then they will get a buyout. Here's another thing about Palantir this morning. The information is reporting that Shield AI is a leading defense tech manufacturer of drones, and it looks like Palantir is thinking of investing in them at a $5 billion valuation. So we don't have any equity stakes in really important defense contractors. I think it is a crime that Palantir doesn't have an equity stake in Anduril. I don't know how that didn't happen, but it didn't happen. So we don't have any equity in Anduril. We relatively have like $100 to $200 million stake in some of the SPACs, but we don't really own equity in outside companies. We had that whole SPAC thing that happened in 2021, 2022. And then we kind of stopped buying other companies, or at least buying stakes in companies. So here's my question to everybody. Would you want Palantir to potentially invest in Shield AI? Now, remember, on December 5th, Palantir partnered with Shield AI to deploy Warp Speed. And we went through that press release a while ago. They're going to be licensing some of their software in order for Shield AI to better build and more efficiently create their drones and target their drones. Do you think we should invest in them if we've already partnered with them? I don't hate the idea. I don't know enough about Shield AI to like really definitively say, yes, we absolutely have to invest. But in general, if defense tech is exploding, if the United States is putting a premium on defense, if the government is ready to spend more money on software and defense in a more meaningful way, we saw the Anduril IPO or the Anduril interview yesterday where Palmer Luckey talked about potentially IPOing, and he also talked about how they're winning a lot of contracts. Bloomberg reported they're growing 100% year over year, primarily around the reason that China is a threat, Russia is a threat, and Anduril believes that we need to build a lot in order to be prepared for that threat. If Shield AI is going to be getting some government contracts on building drones, autonomous drones, etc., I don't think it's a big idea. I don't think it's a big deal if Palantir has a stake in them. And I don't know the valuation of Shield. I know it's at $5 billion, but I don't know the revenue, the profits, any of that stuff. In general, Palantir has $5 billion in cash, $4.6 billion. So we've got to do something. I really doubt we bought back our shares. I would be surprised if Palantir in Q4 really bought back shares. They would have had to be buying it upwards of $40, which now looks fine, but at the time when it was 40, I'm sure it was an all-time high. So why would you buy back your shares at all-time high? You would probably wait, but it just kept going up. So what, did they buy it at 50, 60, 70? So I don't know if we deploy that much cash out of the 1 billion that we've authorized to buy back stock, which means if we didn't, then maybe we have to diversify it in a different way. So that is what I think we're going to have to see. Thomas says, as long as Teal makes the investment decisions, they could do whatever they want for all I care. I don't know if Teal's invested in Shield AI. Maybe Founders Fund is, but that would also be important for us to understand if he's in this one. I don't think it's a horrible idea. I don't think it's a horrible idea if they end up doing it. So that's the news on Palantir. $72 initiation by Cantor Fitzgerald, and the ability for Palantir to potentially invest in a brand new company called Shield AI.